Hi everybody, I'm Graham Blackburn and this is episode 5 of Traditional Woodworking by Hand. And today we're going to talk about how you can make a plane in any direction without getting the dreaded tear out. And it all has to do with the mouth of the plane. In previous episodes we've already talked about how important it is that the sole or the underneath of your plane is perfectly flat, because you can't plane anything flatter than the flatness of the plane itself. There are a couple of other things, however, that have to be taken care of if you want to do what most planes were originally designed to do, which is to plane in any direction. Some of you may have been told that you should always plane with the grain. If you don't, you get tear out. Well, that's because you don't have the plane properly adjusted. And today we're going to talk about the last thing that's going to make that possible. The mouth of the plane is the hole in the sole where the iron comes through. And the width of the mouth determines whether you take a big fat shaving or a very thin shaving. And it's useful to do both things. Sometimes if you're just dimensioning a piece of wood, you don't care if you get a little tear out, you want to remove as much wood as possible. But when you've got the piece finished and you want that ultimate surface, then you need to be able to plane in any direction, regardless of the grain. And this is especially true when you're using figured wood, where the grain does vary from inch to inch. You have to be able to plane in any direction without getting tear out. Wooden planes, to keep them flat, even though they're made out of a nice solid wood like beech, which is relatively stable, will eventually wear, and eventually they will need to be planed flat. Because the throat of the plane, where the iron and its cap iron and the wedge fits in this wedge-shaped throat, the more times you plane the bottom of the plane, the sole, the wider the mouth becomes. So when you get to the point that you cannot take a shaving against the grain without getting tear out, it's time to remouth the plane. When a plane needs to be remouthed, like this old smooth plane that I picked up recently, you only need a piece of wood that's perhaps maybe 1/4 of an inch thick. But it has to be a little wider than the actual mouth of the plane, so that when it's set in, it has somewhere to bear against. And I have a piece of wood here that's a little less than 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to measure how much I need. And it looks like I might need, I don't know, 1 3/4 inches. So I'm going to cut off 1 3/4 inches here, like this. I'll make a little mark. I'll put this in the bench hook and I'll saw the piece off. So here's the piece that I've sawn off. Now I have to cut it to shape so that it will fit in the sole of this plane here. The first thing is that it has to be just a little wider than the actual mouth of the plane. I'm going to put it in and have it touch the cutting iron, and then I can make a mark here like this. And then because this is a coffin plane where it slopes to the beginning, I'm going to have to come in at an angle like this. Okay, so I'm going to cut a piece out like this. Now here's a tip. I could saw that by hand, I could chisel it, whatever, but there's another little thing that I find very useful, which is called congruence of tools, which means that if I have to do more than one thing to the same piece of wood, it really makes life easier if I use tools that are all related. So on this piece of wood, I'm going to use this chisel to cut out the diagonal pieces, and I'm going to use this chisel to cut out the side pieces, and this piece to cut out the sides. So here's a piece that I've cut using these chisels. Now with the iron sticking out a little bit, I put the mouthpiece against the iron and I need to describe the circumference. Don't do that with a pencil, because no matter how sharp the pencil may be to start with, by the time you get around the edge, it will be blunter and wider. And in any event, I don't want any lead in the sole of my plane. So use a chisel or even a marking knife. Don't use a scribe because that will tear. And mark the outline of where the mouthpiece is going. Then I can use these chisels with my mallet to cut down in nice little straight angles, and use this one for the sides here. And then having outlined the space where the mouthpiece is going to be, all I have to do is to now excavate that little space. And I can do that initially just by taking a chisel and slowly chiseling things out. But it will be a much better job if, after I've excavated the basic area, that I make the bottom part of the excavated area perfectly smooth. And here is the perfect tool to do that. This is called a router. Not an electric router, but now it has to be called a hand router, because the electric router usurped the term. But it's basically a flat sole that rests on the flat sides and a little right angled blade that will now cut out the bottom of the excavated part so that it's perfectly flat. Having excavated the space for the mouthpiece, the next thing I have to do is to remove the iron and the wedge, as I've showed you before in previous episodes, just by hitting the back of the plane. Turn this over and insert with a little glue the mouthpiece. The last operation is now to plane the entire sole of the plane, including what is proud of the mouthpiece, so that it's perfectly flat. You can do this two ways. You can either put the mouthpiece plane in the vise and plane it flat with another flat plane, or you might find it easier and more convenient to put a really flat plane in the vise and drag your smooth plane across here. But whatever you do, you must make sure that when this is all planed and flat, the mouth is a perfect parallelogram. That means that the sides are perfectly parallel and perfectly square. If you've inadvertently planed one side more than the other, then this won't be a parallelogram. It'll be more of a rhomboidal shape. And since we use planes for two things, both using it on the flat and using it on the side, it's really important that the sole be perfectly perpendicular to the sides of the plane. So if you've got that right, then all you have to do is to reinsert the iron, reinsert the wedge, and you'll probably find when you've done that, that now there's no gap at all between the mouthpiece and the iron itself. So the very, very last thing that you need to do is to now remove the iron and the wedge, and using a chisel, nice sharp chisel, very carefully relieve the back of the mouthpiece until the gap between the cutting edge and the back of the mouthpiece is no wider than the thickness of the shaving that you want to take. That way, when the shaving comes through the mouth, immediately it will be bent and broken by the cap iron and you won't get any tear out. Here are a bunch of planes that I've remouthed in the past. And you can see this is another nice piece of maple in the beech. You can see how close the mouthpiece is to the cutting edge. Here's another plane. I happen to have a scrap piece of ebony. Just for fun, it looks a little nicer, but it's the same thing. The gap between the cutting edge and the back of the mouthpiece is no wider than the thickness of the shaving that I want to take. So, when the mouthpiece is properly adjusted, here you are, you can plane in any direction and you can take the thinnest of shavings with no tear out regardless of the direction of the plane. Now if you like that and you want to see more, then remember to click the subscribe button at the bottom and maybe even check out some of the books I've written on the subject. But thanks for watching, and I hope this makes your planing a whole lot more successful, and stay tuned for the next episode.